Hello and welcome to the Daily Callus. My name is Miles Greene and today is part 2 in a series on root patterns. Today we're going to be looking at how the 5 root patterns can help us determine which of the 5 major pentatonic boxes sort of fit right on top of them. And this is really useful because if you know where your root notes are up and down the neck in a particular song, you can immediately determine which pentatonic box can be applied on which part of the neck. Now if you haven't already, please check out the first video on root patterns. It may make a little bit more sense before you watch this one in its entirety. Also, if you're interested in purchasing the PDF visual reference guide that sort of follows this lesson, please check out my store, the Daily Callus, on Etsy. So for now, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the relationship between root patterns and major pentatonic boxes. The 5 root patterns can help us determine which of the 5 major pentatonic boxes can be played on top of it. So starting off with root pattern number 1, these are our 2 C notes. Again, we are in C major. Root pattern 1 correlates with box 4 of the major pentatonic shape, which looks like this. So again, root pattern 1, we have our 2 root notes here. Okay, moving on to root pattern number 2, which looks like this. Root pattern 2 correlates with box 5 of the pentatonic shape, which looks like this. So again, we have our root notes here in that pentatonic box. Okay, moving on to root pattern number 3, which is this sort of long, awkward triangle. Root pattern 3 correlates with box 1 of the major pentatonic scale, which is shaped like this. So again, we have our root notes here, here, and here. Okay, moving on to root pattern number 4, we have another triangle, a smaller one, this time facing up the neck. Root pattern 4 correlates with box 2 of the major pentatonic scale, and box 2 looks like this. So again, we have our root notes here, here, and here. And last but not least, we have root pattern number 5, which looks like this. Little out of tune there. And root pattern 5 correlates with box 3 of the major pentatonic scale, and box 3 looks like this. So in terms of application, this concept can be really helpful when you're playing up and down the neck. If you find yourself somewhere on the G string, let's say we have an A note here, I know I can apply root pattern 3 to figure out that these are my other root notes. And root pattern 3, of course, lines up with box 1 of the major pentatonic shape, and box 1 lets me do things like this. Or let's say I move up the neck and I find myself on an A note here. Root patterns tells me that I can apply shape 2 and find another root here, a little out of tune there. And because I'm in root pattern 2, I know that box 5 of the major pentatonic shape sort of fits on top of it. And again, we're here on this A note. I can go down the neck and find my root note here, and I realize that that is root pattern 1, and root pattern 1 connects with box 4 of the major pentatonic shape, and box 4 can allow me to play a chord inversion. So that's just one way how understanding the relationship between root patterns and major pentatonic boxes can be really useful in your playing. So if you're playing along at home and you want to practice, what I really recommend is choosing a random note on the fretboard and finding the root patterns above it and behind it. So for example, we have a G note here, and I know that this is my G note up here, and I have a G note behind it. So just sort of practicing by choosing random notes and figuring out where your patterns are above and below. And once you have identified the root patterns, really try and memorize which of the major pentatonic scales correlate with each of the root patterns. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video on root patterns. If you're interested in learning about how root patterns connect with minor pentatonic boxes, please check out part 3 in this video series. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out my store on Etsy. I've put together a lot of visual aids that I think can be really helpful for blues and rock guitar players. You can find me on Patreon, YouTube. Leave a comment, subscribe. I will try to get back to as many of you as I can. And again, I know this is a new channel. Thank you so much for all the support that you're willing to give. And thank you. Until next time.